Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 9, Answers by citing the Lord's Version. Text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atma Mayamrute Rajan Parasyanubhavatmanaha Sagatetartha Sambandha Swapna Drashturivanchasa.
Translation. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, O King, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer's theme, his own body working.
Bahurupa iva bhati Mayaya bahurupaya ramamano guneshvasya mamahamiti manyate.
The illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives, thinking in terms of I and mine.
Yarhi vavamahim nisve parasmin kalamayayoho rameta gata sammohas tyaktvodaste tadobhayam.
As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self.
Atma-tattva-vishuddhyartam Atma-tattva-vishuddhyartam Yadaha Bhagavan Rutam Brahmane Darshayan Rupam Avyalikavrata-drutaha.
O King, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma, because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul.
Sa Adidevo Jagatam Paro Guruhu Swadishnyamastaya Sisrukshayikshata Tam Nadya Gachadrutamatra Sammatam Prapancha Nirmana Vidiryaya Bhavet.
Lord Brahma, the first spiritual master, supreme in the universe, could not trace out of the source of his lotus seat, and while thinking of creating the material world, he could not understand the proper direction for such creative work, nor could he find out the process of such creation.
Sachintayandvaksharameकदं दाम्भा स्युपाशृणोद्विर्गतितं वचो विभुः स्पर्शेषु यत् षोडशमेकविंशम् निष्किञ्चनानां नृपयद्धनं विदुः.
While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and the other from the 24th of the Sparsha alphabets, and both joined together became the wealth of the renounced order of life.
निशम्य तद्वक्रुदिदृक्षया दिशो विलोक्य तत्रान्यदपश्यमानः स्वदिष्ण्यमास्थाय विमृश्य तद्दितम् तपस्युपादिष्ट इवाददे मनः.
When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it was wise to sit down on his lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed.
दिव्यं सहस्राब्दममोघदर्शनो जितानिलात्मा विजितो भयेन्द्रियः अतप्यतस्मा किल लोकतापनम् तपस्तप्रियांस्तपतां समाहितः.
Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1,000 years by the calculations of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky, and he accepted it as divine. Thus he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson for the living entities. Thus he is known as the greatest of all ascetics.
तस्मै स्वलोकं भगवान् सभाजितः सन्दर्शयामास परं न यत्परं व्यपेतसङ्क्लेशविमोहसाद्वसं स्वदृष्टवद्भिर्पुरुषैरभिष्टुतम्.
The person, I mean, the one above, sorry. The personality of Godhead, being thus very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode, Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons, freed from all kinds of miseries and fear of illusory existence.
प्रवर्तते यत्र रजस्तमस्तयोः सत्त्वं च मिश्रं न च कालविक्रमः न यत्र माया किमुता परे हरे रनुव्रता यत्र सुरासुरार्चिताः.
In that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time. So what to speak of the illusory external energy? It cannot enter that region. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees.
श्यामावदाताः शतपत्रलोचनाः पिशङ्गवस्त्राः सुरुचः सुपेशसः सर्वे चतुर्बाहवुन्मिषन्मणि प्रवेकनिष्काभरणासु वर्चसः.
The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are described as having a glowing, sky-bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers, their dress is of yellowish color, and their bodily features very attractive. They are just the age of growing youths. They all have 4 hands. They are all nicely decorated with pearl necklaces, with ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent.
प्रवालवैदूर्यमृणालवर्चसः परिस्फुरत्कुण्डलमौलिमालिनः.
Some of them are effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion, and have garlands on their heads, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings.
श्रीर्यत्र रूपिण्युरुगाय पादयो करोति मानं बहुधा विभूतिभिः प्रेङ्कं श्रिताया कुसुमाकरानुगैर्विगीयमाना प्रियकर्म गायति.
The Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions, and all these combined together appear just like the sky, decorated with both clouds and lightning. Shall I read 14 as well? Because I think we skipped one.
ददर्श तत्राखिल सात्वतां पतिम् श्रीयः पतिं यज्ञपतिं जगत्पतिं सुनन्दनन्दप्रबलार्हणादिभिः स्वशार्षदाग्रैः परिसेवितं विभुम्.
Lord Brahma sought in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of their entire devotee community, the Lord of the goddess of fortune, the Lord of all sacrifices, and the Lord of the universe, and who is served by the foremost servitors, like Nanda, Sananda, Prabhala, and Arghana, his immediate associates.
भृत्यप्रसादाभिमुखं दृगासवम् प्रसन्नहासारुणलोचनाननम् किरीटिनं कुण्डलिनं चतुर्भुजम् पीतांशुकं वक्षसि लक्षितं श्रिया.
The personality of Godhead, seen leaning favourably towards his loving servitors, his very sight intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune.
अध्यर्हणीयासनमास्थितं परम् वृतं चतुष्षोडश पञ्चशक्तिभिः युक्तं भगै स्वैरितरत्र चाद्रुवैः स्वयेव दामन् रममाणमीश्वरम्.
The Lord was seated on his throne and was surrounded by different energies like the 4, the 16, the 5, and the 6 natural opulences, along with other insignificant energies of the temporary character. But he was the factual Supreme Lord, enjoying his own abode.
तद्दर्शनाह्लादपरिप्लुतान्तरो ह्यश्यत्तनुः प्रेमभराश्रुलोचनः ननामपादाम्बुजमस्य विश्वसृग् यत्पारमहंस्येन यताधिगम्यते.
Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love, he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramashamsa.
तं प्रीयमाणं समुपस्थितं कविम् प्रजाविसर्गे निजशासनार्हणम् बबाश ईषत्स्मितशोचितशागिरा प्रियः प्रियं प्रीतमनाः करे स्पृशन्.
And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings to be controlled as he desired, and thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus.
श्रीभगवानुवाच त्वयाहं तोषितः सम्यग् वेदगर्भसिसृक्षया चिरं भृतेन तपसा दुस्तशः कूटयोगिनाम्.
The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with a desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics.
वरं वरय भद्रं ते वरेशं माभिवाञ्छितं ब्रह्मश्रेयः परिश्रामः पुंसां मद्दर्शनावधिः.
I wish you good luck, O Brahma. You may ask from me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization.
मनीषितानुभावोऽयं मम लोकावलोकनम् यदुपश्रुत्य रहसि चकर्त परमं तपः.
The highest perfection or ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes, and this has been made possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance according to my order.
प्रत्यादिष्टं मया तत्र त्वयि कर्म विमोहिते तपो मे हृदयं साक्षात् आत्माहं तपसो नगा. हरिः ओम तत्सत्.
O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I think there was one sloka number 30. It got missed. Okay. Mataji, Gita Mataji, would you like to recite the sloka 13 and 14 as well?
Yes, Prabhuji, sorry about it.
Okay.
I don't know how I missed it. I'll put my glasses on and decide.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, did you say text 13 and 14?
Yes, Mataji. So one verse got only translation, another verse got missed. So
Okay, Prabhuji, I will recite. This is Brajishnu. Okay.
Yeah.
Brajishnu biryah parito virajate lasadvimana valibirmahatmanam vidyotamanah pramadottamadyubihi savidyuta bravalibiryata nabaha. Shall I do the 14, Prabhuji?
Andrew Prabhuji is going to read the translation and then.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. The Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions, and all those combined together appear just like the sky, decorated with both clouds and lightning.
Shloka 14. Shriryatra rupinyurugaya padayo karoti manam bahuda vibhutibihi prekam shritaya kusumakaranugair vigiyamana priyakarma gayati. Hare Krishna.
The goddess of fortune in her transcendental form is engaged in the loving service of the Lord's lotus feet, and being moved by the black bees, followers of spring, she is not only engaged in variegated pleasure, service to the Lord, along with her constant companions, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activities. Okay. Hare Krishna.
My apologies for making the mistake. Sorry, Prabhuji. Sorry,
It's
everyone.
very beautiful and a divine, glorious recitations, Mataji and Prabhuji. So divine. Thank you so much. It was so devotional. Okay.
Sorry for the apology. My apologies for the mistakes.
Mataji, you did very nicely. Okay, so we shall enter into Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much, all the devotees, for kindly joining this evening to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so before we start any further conversation, we shall offer our humble obeisances to the Acharyas and then Srimad Bhagavatam and the Supreme Lord and then enter. Oh. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांशाम्। हे कृष्ण करुण सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृणुतां स्वकताः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्तोह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृसतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। एते चांशकलाः पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे। इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितम् उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकधन्यं स्वस्तये नमः। कृष्णे स्वदामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह कलो न श्रुषामेष पुराणार्को अधुनोदितः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये। अथ विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्तिस्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशमिदुषं पाण्डुषुरिष्णुषुं त्वयि मेनन्यविषयमतिर्मदपते सकृत् रतिमुद्वहत दद्ध गङ्गेव श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सखा विष्णु ऋषभावनिद्रग्राजन्योंशिदहनानपवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विज सुरार्य हरावतार योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मत्येनां किमुताशुषः पुनश्च भूयात् भगवत्यनन्ते रतिः प्रसङ्गाश तदाश्रयेषु महस्तुयाम्यामुपयां सृष्टिं मैत्रसु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः। ॐ नमो भगवते राधा गोविन्दाय नमः। Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you so much. I shall share my screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 9, verse number 3. So here in this chapter, So answers by citing the Lord's vision. So in this chapter, it is a very beautiful chapter. Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about in the spirit soul's identity, and also how the Lord is appearing to Brahma after his penances, and he speaks the Chatushloki Bhagavata, and then finally he gives the instruction to Brahma, Etan matam samatishta paramen samadhina. So, oh Brahma, you always think or keep only this knowledge. After speaking this Chatushloki Bhagavata, he says that one, so that you will not be illusioned, bewildered at any point of time. So in this one, so Sukadeva Goswami started speaking to Parikshit Maharaj in the previous verse, what he was mentioning here. The illusion living in it appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord while enjoying in the modes of material nature. The encaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. This is I and mine. So these are the two things, I and mine, which is everyone are working in this material world. So this is Bahurupa Eva Bhati Maya Bahurupaya Ramamano Guneshwasya Mamaham iti manyate. This Mamaham iti manyate. So this is I and me, mine. So these are the conceptions, two different conceptions. So further, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, if once this living entity who is wearing this material body and settled body thinks that once he comes to the understanding that he is the spirit soul and completely uh, situated himself, then he will be completely free from the misconceptions of life, I and mine. Likewise, he is saying, okay, so we shall recite the verse and enter into further. Yerhi vava mahimnishve parasmin kala mayayoho rameta gata sammohaha chakta udaste tada ubhayam. Yerhi vava mahimnishve. So here at any time, Yerhi vava mahimnishve. So the living entity situated himself, mahimnishve, parasmin kala mayayoho. Parasmin in the supreme kala mayayoho. That kala is the time, mayoho of the material energy of the Lord. Kala mayoho rameta gata sammohaha. And then what he will do, gata sammohaha. Gata sammohaha is the being freed from the misconception. Then what he does, rameta, he enjoys. Rameta gata sammohaha chaktva, and by leaving udaste, in fullness, what is that? Tada ubhayam. Tada ubhayam. Ubhayam is the both, the misconceptions that here Sukadeva Goswami explained in the above verse as the I and mine, mamaham iti. So that ubhayam, he will be completely freed from that misconceptions. Yerhi vava mahimnishve parasmin kala mayayoho rameta gata sammohaha chaktva udaste tado bhayam. So translation for this verse. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two conceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self. It is very, when the living entity is situated in the transcendence, then he will be free from the misconceptions of life, I and mine. Let us see what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state, the conception of mind is very important, and in the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. In the animal state of life, misconception of mind is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs. who fight with one another with the same misconception of mind. In the lower stage of human life, the same misconception is also prominent in the shape of it is my body, it is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher state of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mind is transformed into I am, or it is all I am. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors. But the real significance of I can be realized only when one is situated in the consciousness of I am the eternal servitor of the Lord. This is pure consciousness. And the whole Vedic literatures teaches this conception of life. The misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than misconception of mine. Although there are sometimes directions in the Vedic literatures to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identical.
Let's go down to Okay.
Okay, so that does not one becomes identical with the Lord in every aspect. That does not mean that one becomes identical with the Lord in every respect. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately, the living entity is subordinate to the Lord, and he is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of the Lord. The Lord therefore asks the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to the supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal in all respects? Then why was he put under the influence of Maya? We have already discussed many times that material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this controlling power of the Lord over the material nature. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as the Supreme Being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in the future. Even accepting that in the future, one will be as good a controller of material nature as the Supreme Being. Then why is one now under the control of material nature? The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of the material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then the living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So, one must also give up this misconception of I by practicing the way of devotional service or firmly being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life. But if by chance the same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies. But one should be constitutionally situated in one's own glory, namely, to be situated in the pure consciousness of being eternal servitor of the Lord. In his conditional life, the living entity is servant of the illusory Maya. And in his liberated state, he is the pure, unqualified servant of the Lord. So to become untainted by the modes of material nature is the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord. As long as one is servant of mental concoctions, one cannot be completely free from the disease of I and mine. The supreme truth is uncontaminated by the illusory energy because he is controller of that energy. The relative truths are apt to engross in illusory energy. The best purpose is served. However, when one is directly facing the supreme truth, as when one faces the sun overhead in the sky is full of light. But when the sun is not in the visible sky, all is in darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with the Supreme Lord, he is freed from all illusions. And one is not so, he is in the darkness of illusory Maya. The Bhagavad Gita 14.26 confirms this as follows. Mam choyo avibicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, in the science of Bhakti Yoga, of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right sources, not from the professional man, but from a person who is Bhagavatam in life, and being always in the association of pure devotees, should be adopted in earnestness. One should not be misled by conceptions of I and mine. The karmis are fond of the conceptions of mine. The jnanis are fond of the conception of I, and both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of the illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mine. And Srila Vyasadeva transcribed them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. The living entity has to be situated in the transcendental position where there is no more influence of time nor of the material energy. In the conditioned life, the living entity is subjected to the influence of time in the dream of past, present, and future. The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or the Supreme Lord himself by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego. But the process is not perfect. The perfect process is to accept Lord Vasudeva as the supreme in everything. And the best perfection in culturing knowledge is to surrender unto him because he is the source of everything. Only in that conception can one get rid of the misconception of I and mine. Both Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam confirm it. Srila Vyasadeva has specifically contributed to the illusioned living entities, the science of God, and the process of Bhakti Yoga in his great literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. And the conditioned soul should fully take advantage of this great science. It's a very long purport, but very beautiful. So lots of insights in this purport. So Prabhupada here is mentioning the two conceptions of life, namely I and mine. When it comes, this is adhruvani dehasya. So this body is completely temporary. It is in experience of everyone. This body is going to fall definitely on one day. It may be tomorrow, after 10 years, after 100 years. It is going to fall down. So that whenever here Sukadeva Goswami, in the beginning of this first canto, he has explained Nidraya Hrite Naktam Vyavayena Vavayaha Devacha Adha Ihaya Rajan Kutumba Bharanenava. When a person in the conception of I and mind, when he thinks that it is my body, then so he works in the night time, he spends the time because in the daytime he works in the offices somewhere working hard, and then in the night he come and he spend the time for the sleeping and in the sexual indulgence. Likewise, he spends all the night time and daytime. Both he will be nidraya hrite naktam vyavayena vavaiha devacha adda ihya rajan kutumba bharanenava. Likewise, he spent all the time because just it is mine. I have to maintain this family. It is my wife. It is my children. If I don't feed him, they are going to die. If I don't protect them, someone is going to steal them. If I don't protect this house, someone is going to take this house, occupy it. So this is everything comes, it is I and it is mine, my home, my wife, my children. That's why he is going to engage in working. So when he works, Agni Apta Ardhakarana Nisinitayana Nana Manoradhya Khanabhagna Nidraha Nana Manodhya Khanabhagna Nidra. He doesn't even get the sleep in the night because Agni Apta Ardhakarana Nisinistayana Ardhakarana. he works very hard in the offices. If he is a computer software engineer, he has to work with the mind. He doesn't get a peace of mind. He doesn't get in the proper sleep also. That is nisi nisyana nana manoradadhya khanabhagna nidraha Daiva hata dharachana rushyopi deva yushmasanga vimuka iha samsaranti. It doesn't matter whatever the great scholar he is, but still Daiva hata dharachana rushyopi deva yushmasanga vimuka iha samsaranti. Unless he discuss the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will have to struggle here. So with I and mind. Deha patya kalatradishu atma sainyeshu asaswapi. Deha patya kalatradishu. This is body and my children. Kalatradishu, my wife and children. Atma Sainyeshu Asaswapi. These are all my soldiers. My body is my soldier, my soul soldier, and my wife is going to protect me. My children are going to feed me when I become older. Likewise, these are all these Apasitam Atma Tattvam Gruheshu Gruhamedina. Apasyatat. They do not see the reality. This is because of even these cats and dogs, they are also feeling. So if a cat has got a kitten, if we just try to go and touch it, and then mother cat is going to say, it is my children, don't come here. Similarly, dog and dog children as well. So they have that conception is there in the animals as well. So there are different consciousness, like there are plants and then animals which doesn't have a consciousness developed, and some animals having conscious developed, and the human beings, they have got fully some kind of knowledge, and then fully the blossomed. This is avruta, Avrita, Mukulita, Vyakulita, Vikasita, Purna Vikasita. These are the 5 stages of the conception or consciousness. So in the beginning, the trees and plants, they don't have consciousness, and little bit of further Mukulita, so some kind next level of the beings, though there is a life, but they cannot respond properly, but they still feel it. And then further Vyakulita, like cats and dogs, and then further Vikasita, the human beings, but they are not into the knowledge yet. They can, if we are able to give that knowledge, they can take it, but they don't come to that point yet. So Vikasita, Purna Vikasita, who has got that transcendental knowledge? These are different levels. So until one comes to that stage, he has to struggle with I and mine. It is my family, my house. Atmajaya Sutagar, Pasudravina Bandushu, Niroda Mola Pradaya, Bahumanam, Atmanum Bahumanyate. He thinks that Atmajaya Sutagar, and the Niroda Mola Pradaya, he is completely rooted into that kind of conception. Mama, Atmaham iti manyate, bahumanyate. He thinks that I am the great fortune, I have got enough money, I don't have to work. But he will not be protected by the time factor. So there is Prabhavam Paurusham Rupam Kalam Yeke Yeto Bhayam. He has to afraid of that time factor. Kalam Yeke Yeto Bhayam. Okay, so here that concept, one has to come out from that conception. So Prabhupada is saying there are levels again. In the higher stage of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of my is transformed into I am. It is all I am. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors. So here, the real significance of I can be realized only when it's situated in the consciousness of I am the eternal servitor of the Lord. This is pure consciousness. So all Vedic literatures teach us this conception of life. We are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, we are not the false ego. We are the pure spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mamayvamsha jivaloke jivabhutaha sanatanaha manasrasthani indriyani prakristani karshati. We are put up into this material nature and struggling here for the existence. But what is the purpose of it? This is the Atma Tattvam. Know the Atma Tattvam. Otherwise, again, written into all these cats and the Triyak Janapi, many living entities, 8.4 million different species. And then later on, Prabhupada is saying misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme. So this is more dangerous. So there are some people, they are called Mayavadis. So generally they think that I am and the super soul both are the same. And they speak in their own way. So this one, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu condemns such kind of Mayavada philosophies. So here, this one, there are some beautiful information about the Mayavadis. So just would like to take you through why such kind of Mayavada philosophy came into existence through the prominent scholar, the previously Acharya, Shankaracharya. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also brought some kind of Vedic evidences to defeat the Mayavada philosophers. So here, what is that Mayavada philosophy is? Mayavadam asasyatram prachannam bodhamuchyate mayaiva kalpitam devi kalu brahmana rupina. So here, this is Lord Shiva is speaking to Mother Parvati. So this is information. So here one may argue that since Shankaracharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, how is it that he cheated people in this way? The answer is that he did not. He did so on the order of his master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the Padma Purana, so it is the Mayeva Kalpitam Devi Kalo Brahmana Rupina. In the age of Kali, I will take a Brahmana and then spread this Mayavadam, Asasyastram. This is Asat. This is Asasyastram, impious. Pratyannam Bodhamuchyate. It is covered by the Buddhism. So before this Mayavada philosophy, there was the Buddhism. So it is actually Pratyannam Bodhamuchyate. It is covered Buddhism. It is Sunyavadi. Brahmanasya aparam rupam nirgunam vakhyate maya. Brahmanasya aparam rupam nirgunam vakhyate maya. Sarvasvam jagato apyasya mohanardham kalo yuge. To bewilder the people of this age of Kali. And also Brahmanasya aparam rupam nirgunam vakshate maya. He doesn't have any qualities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahmanasya aparam rupam. He doesn't have nirgunasya vakshate maya. In such a way, I explained, O Parvati, sarvasvam jagato apyasya mohanardham kale yuge, kalau yuge. This is to bewilder the people. Vedante tu mahasastre mayavadam avaidikam mayaiva vakshite devi jagatam nashakaranat. Look at that. Jagatam nashakaranat. So to make the people, so previously there were so many people, they were disguising themselves as the devotees of the Lord, but there is sense gratification behind it that is covered by their posing themselves. So at that time, Krishna, he gave the instruction to Lord Shankara, you just go and then spread this Vedas by misinterpreting the Vedas. So what is that misinterpretation? Here the Krishna instruction is Dwaparadu yuge bhutva kalaya manshadishu swagamaihi kalpitahi tvamcha janan madvimukan kuru. Make the people go far away from me, because kalaya manushadishu, those people are affected with the Kali, and they are not the devotees of the Lord. So Dwaparadu yuge bhutva, after the end of Dwapara Yuga, in the beginning of the Kali Yuga. So this is now Kali Yuga is going for 432,000 years. And now we have just passed only 5,000 years. So here Shankaracharya already has come and then spread. So this is Lord Shankara is saying, Swagamaihi kalpitaihi tvamcha janan madvimukan kuru. So in Kali Yuga, mislead the people in general by propounding imaginary meanings for the Vedas to bewilder them. So these are the descriptions of the Puranas. And then further in the Lord Shiva, further he tells in the, so here this is confirmed in the Padma Purana, where Lord Shiva tells what is that philosophy, Mayavadam. So Lord Shiva says, Shrunu Devi Pravakshami. O Devi, just listen. Tamasan yatakramam, how that ignorance is spread in a gradual way. Yesham Sravana Matrena. Just by hearing that philosophy, that Mayavada philosophy, Patityam Jnanamapi. Even though he is fully intelligent, Jnanamapi, he will fall down. Patityam Jnaninamapi. Apardam Srivakyanam. So Sritivakyas, they are as pure as the Supreme Lord, but apardam, so giving misinterpretations. Apardam Sritivakyanam. Darshya loka garihitam. So everyone will condemn the such kind of misinterpretations. Karma swarupa chadhyatvam atra cha pratipadhyate. And this Mayavad philosophy tells that you leave all kinds of activities. But Krishna doesn't say in the Bhagavad Gita. So one has to perform as a matter of duty. The yajna, dana, tapa, karma, everything as a matter of duty. Even pavanani manishinam, it will make the great souls even purified, further purified. That is Krishna's statements. Here, karma swarupa chadhyatvam atra cha pratipadyate. I told them that leave all the activities. And then sarva karma paribramsham naishkarmyam tatra chotyate. Paratma jivayor aikyam mayatra pratipadyate. So Paratma, Jivatma, both, they are the only one. Mayatra pratipadyate. In such a way, I have explained, spread this knowledge, Mayavada philosophy. That's why people, they are bewildered. So sometimes thinking that I am the Lord, I am the Supreme. So these are statements of this Shankaracharya, how they are spread, that is coming from these Puranas. It is so dangerous. If I become the Lord, what happens to me? I have to maintain whom? The dependents. If I just get married to maintain one wife and children, it is very difficult. But if I say I am the Lord, Lord means he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has got so many things. How it is possible? If it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. So he doesn't have to do anything. And all his swabhaviki jnana balakriyacha, he has got so many energies, they will work. But here some people who feels that they come and then engaging sometimes and they get some understandings, and after some time they post themselves that I am one with the Lord. So here in one of these statements, like Kapil Bhagavan says, my devotees, they never wanted to become one with me. Naikatmatami spruhente kechid. Naikatmatami spruhente kechid. They never want to become one with me. Na ekatmatami spruhente kechid. Matpada seva abhirata madihaha. So they wanted to serve my lotus feet. Yo anyonyata bhagavataha prasajja sabhadayante mama paurushani. So along with the devotees, with so much of cooperation, they always engage themselves in the devotional service, worship me, doing bhajans, and all these things. So likewise, devotees are there. They do not want to become with me, one with me. Likewise, Kapila Bhagavan says to Devavati Mata. So they do not, and here, that does not mean one becomes identical with the Lord in every respect. Though we are the spiritual part and we are a little gold particle, Krishna is the gold mine. We are the little salt water drop, there is a ocean of salt water. Like we are a drop, Krishna is unlimited. So this is called Achincha Bheda Abheda Tattva. Inconceivable, there is a difference, but there is no difference. No difference in the quality, difference in the quantity. So that is the Achincha Bheda. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this knowledge 500 years ago. So bringing from all the Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and other Puranas, Brahma Samhita, establishing Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam. He is the only one person. Aham Swarasya Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha Matta Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Bhuda Bhava Samanvitaha. One comes to that understanding, he will engage himself into devotional service. Okay, so here he is constitutionally meant to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is as just like a finger is serving the whole part of the body. And had the living entities not been subordinate to the supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? So that is Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshishami Ma Suchaha. So do not worry, I will. So here Krishna says, surrender unto me. If why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Because he is the subordinate. And had the being equal in all respect, then why was he put under the influence of Maya? This is it is very mama maya dhurachaya. It is very difficult. Mam evaya prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So it is very difficult to overcome this maya. This is mine. Maya means ma means not. Ya means in this one, the current body or this material world. It is not permanent. Maya. So we have already discussed it many times. That material energy is controlled by the Lord. This is Maya Adhyakshena Prakritihi Suyete Characharam Ketunanena Kaunteya Jagat Parivipattate Jagat Viparivattate. So this material creation is running under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under his direction. Otherwise, how come the sun every day morning he comes, evening he sunsets, the rains come on time, seasons come on time, the years, the 60 years there are month names, 12 month names, and each month contains 2 pakshas. Each paksha contains 16 days, 15 days. And likewise, years level, there are 60 years. Now we are in the Krodhinama Samvatsara. It is the Krodhinama means angry. So this year is very angry. General kind of a general tendency of the intensity of the living entities. So likewise, each year has got particular potency of it. So likewise, there are 60 years, and this is once again the 60 years cycle will start after 60 years. And likewise, the yugas are there, and then Divya Yuga and Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, and then going back to Manvantaras and Brahma's day. So there are so much, how everything is going perfectly. So under Mayadhyakshena Prakritihi, because under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so and Prabhupada now even accepting that in future one will become good controller of material nature as supreme being, then why is now under the control of material nature? So this is the Purusha Prakrusto hi bhunkte Prakrujan Gunan Karanam Gunasangasya Sad Asadhyoni Janmashu. Because of the nature of Karanam Gunasangasya, he is infected by the 3 material modes of nature. That's why he is put up into the material world and feel experiencing these pains and pleasures. So that is the reason. And then Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of the material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then living entity will never be able to control the material nature. One must also give up this misconception of I. This is it is very difficult to come out. So Devahutimata asked this kind of, how do I come out this kind of conceptions? I am disturbed by these senses. And then went to Devahuti's Mata's son, Kapiladeva, and he explains, Devahuti Nirvinna Nitram Bhuman Asad Indriya Darshanat Yen Sambhavya Manena Prapanandam Tamah Prabho. I am being disturbed by the senses very, very much because my husband, he left. He wanted to surrender himself to the Supreme Lord. He left now. Now I'm being disturbed. So she is in distressful condition. So then she approaches Kapil Bhagavan. Then Kapil Bhagavan explains at that time, Yo avagraha aham mameti iti etasmin yojitasvaya. I am being infected. Yo avagraha aham mameti. Avagraham. This is the bad conception. Aham mameti. This is mine and it is me and mine, like that. By your external energy, oh my Lord, please explain. Then Kapil Bhagavan explains everything, all the Sankhya philosophy, very beautifully. That is the devotional service and Sankhya philosophy. That 2 ways, Bhakti Yogasha Maya Manavi Udiritaha. Yayoho Ekatrenaiva Purushaha Purusham Rajet. So if one goes either through Sankhya philosophy or the devotional service, both goes to the Purushaha Purusham Rajet, he will attain the Supreme Lord. But devotional service is very easy, that Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita. It is very pleasing. But here, whenever with Samkhya Yoga philosophy, if one is going into secluded place and controlling the senses, only one person. If he wanted to go, he will go to the Vaikuntha, only one person. Whereas the devotional service, a person, he will go, he will take so many devotees along with him. So it is so powerful than going one particular person to Vaikuntha on his own. That's why devotional service, Krishna recommends you learn by yourself and then you do spread this knowledge. You spread this knowledge. Likewise, Krishna says, and then, okay, we just go very quickly. And then Krishna, Prabhupada is explaining about the thing is, if one comes out to come out of this illusory energy, one has to take the devotional service. Mam chayo avicharena bhakti yogena sevate. And then likewise, sagunan samati iti etan, he will be freed from the three material modes of nature. Then Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Brahma Bhuya means that is the transcendental nature. So this is Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga is Madhyashna Darshana Sparsha Puja Suti Abhivandanaihi Bhuteshu Madbhavanaya. So this is Sangena Satvena. So Kapil Bhagavan says, Madhyashna Darshana Puja Suti Abhivandanaihi. One has to come to my temple and worship my deities. Likewise, he says to Devbhuti, Madhyashna Darshana Sparsha Puja Stuti Abhivandanaihi Bhuteshu Madbhavanaya Satvena Asangamena cha. Likewise, he will be purified by detachment and engaging Adhyatmik Anushravanat Nama Sankirtanat Chame Arjavena Arisangena with the devotees association. Niraham Kriya Tada. So all the time detaching from the material things. Likewise, he will be purified, engaging in the devotional service. Okay. And then Prabhupada, the karmis are fond of the conception of mind, jnanis are fond of the conception of I, and both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of the illusory energy. And then here, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from misconception of I and mind. With a single stroke of hearing Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, both misconceptions of I and mind will be completely eradicated out. He will come onto the transcendental platform. This is Anadhopasamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Alokhaje. Lokasya Ajanato Vidbhan Chakre Satpata Samhitam. That's why Vyasadeva has given to completely free from Anadhopasamam Sakshat, so many mistakes and faults in this life. Anadhopasamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje, that is Bhakti Yoga, to free from all these kind of things. So this is very beautifully explaining here. By that, one can be delivering from the misconceptions of I. Yasyam Vaishriyamanam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhaktirutpadyate Pumsaha Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. He doesn't have any fear. He doesn't have any lamentation, any illusion. Just by hearing Krishna Katha, he will develop the love towards Krishna. Bhaktirutpadyate Pumsaha. Bhakti, it will sprout from the heart. One can directly feel that one. This is called self-realization. Okay, so in conditioned life, the living entity is subject to the influence of time, just like a dream of the past, present, and future. Mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or the Supreme Lord by himself, by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego. But the process is not perfect because he wanted to become a Supreme Lord. How can he become Supreme Lord when he is here, struggling in this material world with conceptions of I and mine? So this is Prabhupada is explaining. So just we shall quickly go into due course of time. So go to the next verse. So one has to take the advantage of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So this is Bhakti Yoga is completely ripened fruit. Okay. And then further, next, Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Atma Tattva Vishuddhyadham Yadaha Bhagavan Vritam Brahmane Darshayan Rupam Avyalika Vritadritaham Atma Tattva Vishuddhyadham. So to Atma Tattvam, to know the, O king, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. So because when Krishna comes as a person in front of the Brahma, so all kind of conceptions, impersonal conception, I and mind, everything will be completely gone. This is just by presence of the Lord. So that is Atma Tattva Vishuddhyadham Yadaha Bhagavan Brahmane Darshayan Rupam. The Lord showed his Darshayan Rupam, his form. Avyalika Vratadrutaha. Avyalika. So that is, that form is so worshipable, so pleasing, the Lord's beautiful form. So purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Atma Tattva is the science of both God and the living entity. Both the Supreme Lord and the living entity are known as Atma. The Supreme Lord is called Paramatma and the living entity is called Atma or the Brahma or the Jiva. Both the Paramatma and the Jivatma, being transcendental to the material energy, are called Atma. So, Sukadeva Goswami explains this verse with the aim of purifying the truth of both the Paramatma and the Jivatma. Generally, people have many wrong conceptions about both of them. The wrong conception of Jivatma is to identify the material body with the pure soul, and the wrong conception of Paramatma is to think him on an equal level with the living entity. But both misconceptions can be removed by one stroke of Bhakti Yoga. Just as in the sunlight, both the sun and the wall and everything within the sunlight are properly seen. In the darkness, one cannot see the sun, nor himself, nor the wall. But in the sunlight, one can see the sun, himself, and the wall around him. Srila Sukadeva Goswami therefore says that for purification of both wrong conceptions, the Lord presented his eternal form before Brahmaji, being fully satisfied by Brahma's non-deceptive vow of discharging Bhakti Yoga. Except for Bhakti Yoga, any method for realization of Atma Tattva or the science of Atma will prove deceptive in the long run. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that only by Bhakti Yoga can one know him perfectly, and then one can enter into the science of God. Brahmaji undertook great penance in performing Bhakti Yoga, and thus he was able to see the transcendental form of the Lord. His transcendental form is 100% spiritual, and one can see him only by spiritualized vision after proper discharge of tapasya or penance in pure Bhakti Yoga. The form of the Lord manifested before Brahma is not one of the forms which we have experienced in the material world. Brahmaji did not perform such severe types of penance just to see the form of a material production. Therefore, the question by Maharaja Parikshit about the form of the Lord is answered. The form of the Lord is Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. But the material form of the living being is neither eternal, nor full of knowledge, nor blissful. That is the distinction between the form of the Lord and that of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, however, can regain his form of eternal knowledge and bliss simply by seeing the Lord by means of Bhakti Yoga. So the summary is that due to the ignorance, the conditioned soul is engaged in the temporary varieties of material forms. But the Supreme Lord has no such temporary form like the conditioned souls. He is always possessed of an eternal form of knowledge and bliss. And that is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. One can understand this difference by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Brahma was then told by the Lord the gist of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 original verses. Thus, Srimad Bhagavatam is not a creation of the eternal, creation of the mental speculators. The sound of Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental, and the resonance of Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as that of the Vedas. Thus, the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of both the Lord and the living entity. Regular reading or hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is also performance of Bhakti Yoga, and one can attain the highest perfection simply by the association of Srimad Bhagavatam. Both Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now what we are doing, it is one is Shravana Seva, another one is the Shrota. Whoever is speaking, that is a Shrota, and that is Kirtanam. And whoever is hearing, that is Shravana Seva, that is also Seva. So just by hearing Ashesha Samriyesha Shamam Vidatte Gnanuvada Shravanam Murarehe Kimva Punasa Charanaravindha Paraka Seva Retratma Labdha, just by hearing Ashesha Samklesha Samam Vidatte, so many pains will be relieved. Samam Vidatte Gunanuvada Shravanam Murarehe, just by hearing a Krishna Kada Shravanam Murarehe, and Kimva Punas Charanaravindha Paraga Seva Ritratma Labdha, what to speak of the people who are engaging themselves onto the service of the Lord. Because when you are serving, then automatically your consciousness, Tasma Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Manusmarijhacha Mayarpita Manobuddhir Mam Evaishasi Asamsayaha. So all kind of conceptions focusing into the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His service. That is Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyadi Mam Namaskuru Mam Evaishi Asams Mam Evaishasi. So likewise, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is one can completely absorb devotional service. It nice prasadam, hearing katha, dancing and feasting, going in the street Sankirtana party, giving knowledge to others. This is so pleasing. This is all coming from Srimad Bhagavatam. So likewise, very beautiful purpose. Time doesn't. It is not sufficient to go each and every line of it. But I stop here. I also request dear devotees, if you have got any additions to add or any corrections, I think this needs lots of time to go through. Okay, so dear devotees, if you have got any questions, kindly raise. Or you wanted to share anything, kindly share. Hare Krishna.
Really wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, if there are no further questions, no sharing, then we shall
Hare
come.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Maybe it is not relevant what I'm asking, but what I understood from my knowledge is devotional service means you said that we can all, devotees can go, like not just one person, many people can go to the Lord.
Yeah.
But there are some devotional services which we do just on our own, like japa chanting, and when we do the deity worship at home, they're all called devotional service, isn't it, Prabhuji, if I'm not wrong?
Yes, Mataji, that is devotional service. Yes.
But how can many people go just by one of us doing that service?
So here, Satam Prasangan Mama Piri Samvido Bhavan Ratayan Kataha Tajhotanadas Apavargavatmani Shraddha Ratihi Bhakti Anukramishyati. When we are discussing this Krishna Katha, now if we see there are 20 devotees in this meet in the Sangha. So one person is speaking, other persons or other devotees are hearing. This is called
Yes.
taking the knowledge, understanding the Supreme Lord. This is called devotion. This is
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. So when we do japa and all that, we are not helping others, isn't it, Prabhuji?
We do japa sessions. For example, our Sangha, so we're part of Uxbridge Gaura Sangha. Many devotees come together, they chant. Around 15 devotees come together, they chant. The sound vibrations are very important to hear and vibrate. One devotee is doing, all other are hearing. Likewise, it multiplies the vibrations, positive vibrations.
Okay, Prabhu, got it. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Also in the temple as well, the chanting goes. Okay, thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, so if there are no further questions, then we shall conclude our session for today. Thank you so much, dear devotees. It is among the it is association of a devotee. It is Tulayam Lavenapi Naswargam Napnarbhum Bhagavad Sangi Sangasya Matinam Ki Mudahashaha. That is a single moment of association of devotee. It is not even comparable to the liberation itself. What to speak of the heavenly comforts and the material things. That is the devotional service and the association of devotees. So thank you so much for giving your association to me. So by hearing Krishna Katha. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव चन्दानां
Devi Vaishnavyo
Thank you for the wonderful class,
Thank you
Prabhuji.
for
Hare
the very nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Wonderful
Krishna.
class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.